What's that?
Springtrap and Dead by Daylight. The Dead by Daylight Five Nights at Freddy's public test beta is now available, and honestly, at first look, it's fucking amazing. I know, I've already seen some people be like, too many jump scares, it's just not Dead by Daylight, but you know what, respectfully, that is not what I fucking asked. This is my video, and I'm going to give my opinion. I'm going to make 5 different segments on things that I find good, and then a few separate segments on things that I think need improving, but do keep in mind that this isn't the final product yet. Also, it does help that you get pretty much unlimited overexcels during the public testing beta, but do keep in mind that as soon as it switches back to normal servers, those will be revoked. So this is essentially just your playground, where you can dream of having any skin you wanted, but you don't actually have it. Anyway, let's get into this. Okay, I decided to step back from my microphone a bit because I was doing that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I think it just broke your ears. Anyway, segment 1, aesthetics. Okay, so aesthetically, 9 out of 10. It did what it did, and it did it well. I don't know if that sentence made any fucking sense, but yeah, I vibe with the aesthetics. It has the whole, you know, if you've played any of the FNAF games, it has the whole neon yet playful, childish, and also kind of slightly gory and haunted, disturbed feel to it. And what it's trying to do, it encaptures very well. And honestly, the design team for this pack, you guys did an amazing job. Now, one room for critique I do have is that the map is kind of small. Honestly, I see that as a 50-50. With Springtrap himself, it is probably more ideal to be on a smaller or medium-sized map. Something that the map does do well, however, is make it feel cluttered, since some of the older maps were far too big and there was nothing anywhere. So if you were like, you know, like me, a Mastermind main, this was a feast for just snatching up people. Playing Mastermind on this map would be a nightmare because you would just bump into everything everywhere. So yeah, actually, even if it is small, and you increased it by a little bit, it would still be very cluttered. So, take that as you will. Segment 2. New characters, new futures. I just got a Discord notification. Who the fuck? Anyway, new characters. We do not have a new survivor, but we do have a new killer, Springtrap, and we saw a little bit of a spoiler here. We're getting fucking Lillard! Fuck yeah! I will definitely be maining him, I'm just telling you. Alright, so it took me 2,500 decades to finally get a queue as a killer, but from the playstyle, I really like him. It's hard to describe, but think Singularity meets Huntress meets Trapper. Trapper just minus the traps. It is very difficult to explain. Honestly, he is a unique concept and I like it. And also he has this amazing animation where sometimes when he picks up survivors, he just jump scares them. That shit is so funny. Segment 3, on deux trois. I am not French, why did I fucking do that? Soundtrack. Again, it's not final, they might change it like they did with, for example, Houndmaster, but I'll play some of it here. I'll play about 5 seconds of each phase. It's pretty decent, but phase 4 could use some drums in there and some more bass, but honestly, I'm not a fucking musician, so don't quote me on that. As I said, it is likely to still change because it's Damn. It's likely to still change because it's very rare that they leave the first rendition of the killer music in and don't change it later on. But overall, the soundtrack is a solid 7.5 out of 10. Segment 4. Overall gameplay. Right, so some of the new features in here involve these cameras, which honestly have some of the best jump scares if you have very unfortunate timing. Other than the cameras, the map, and the new killer, there's not much. And there doesn't have to be. It's a killer pack, guys. It's not like they're completely overhauling the game. So, for the new camera feature, which functions a lot like Sadakor's TVs, except that the survivors can probably interact with them, it's a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's fun as hell, and when you do get caught, it is funny. It is funny just getting grabbed and jump scared. It's a nod, and you have like this little going through animation that I'll play right here. Yeah, it's golden. And finally, individuality. Now, what does this mean? So, think of this. Every single pack either includes a killer, a survivor, but does it include something unique that no other pack could bring? That is individuality. And in this case, I say its individuality is quite high. I cannot think of any other popular franchise character where you can properly jump scare and use cameras like you do in Five Nights at Freddy's. As soon as you say camera horror, you're going to think of Five Nights at Freddy's, or you're going to think of The Ring, and we already have The Ring in Dead by Daylight, right? So, in this case, it has very high individuality. I would say a solid 8 out of 10. Which means, in my brain, my brain is a bit weird, other packs are very unlikely to be able to introduce the same things that Five Nights at Freddy's did. Now, yes, there's going to always be a new killer or a new survivor, a new map. That is not necessarily unique, but the few new mechanics that we do have, aka the camera panning, for example, or the jump scares, are unique to this pack alone. And that is a big, big plus, at least to me, in many, many packs. Now, here we come to the few negatives that I have observed. First of all, the animations are terribly choppy and there's a fuck ton of glitches. Obviously, it is the beta, which means this is not the finished version, and this is only what we see now, and it's likely to come out later on with a lot of things polished. So this isn't a huge complaint, it is just a minor thing, but if this still persisted, even if it's released, well, then that is a problem. Like, for example, I got stuck in a locker a few times, I literally couldn't get out, I needed the killer to get me out. And then, for example, here, this is an animation glitch, he just ports everywhere and it's very, it's not all that smooth. That's just a visual thing, it doesn't impair gameplay all that much. But it's minor things like that stack up and become a regular annoyance, sorry. And here's one that I think everyone is expecting. The queue times. Yeah, they're pretty fucking terrible. Do I even have to elaborate? I just bonked my microphone, what the hell? But overall, taking in the aesthetics, the gameplay, the jump scares, the features, it's a solid 8 out of 10 pack so far, and who knows, it could bump up to a 10 out of 10.